and welcome to Cambridge Actions Fund Annual Forum on how best to help those who are homeless. Tonight we are really honored to have with us a lot of different organizations here who work and are experts in helping with the homeless. And every year we look forward to hearing what are the most important changes since last year. What are the greatest needs that we currently have? How is that different from the past year? And what their predictions and plans are for the coming year. We're looking forward to hearing from various people tonight, and this will be recorded and shown on community television in the next year. And as some of us were just saying, people come up to us all year long and say, "Oh, I just saw you on television." So hopefully you're going to get ideas from this program tonight on what you can do to make a difference. Money certainly helps, and there are lots of volunteer ideas. We have a website, thecambridgeactionfund.org, and there's also a blog as well, which is available. It tells information on different volunteer activities and also how you can make a difference as well. We have a forum every year, and we hear from the people who have been funded in the past year and from people who want to be funded in the next year. So my name's Carmean, and I'm president of the organization, which would never have happened without Dave Lewis, who is also chairman of the board and had the vision behind this program. What I'd like to do is go around the room and just very briefly have people say who they are, and Dave, do you want to be next?
Sandra, would you like to go
I'll
first?
give you the honor to go first.
I'm Dave Lewis, and Karen and I started this organization, almost 20 years ago. And I have a real estate investment and development company. And Karen has done a wonderful job since I've sort of taken more of the back seat over the last, I'd say, 15 years. She's pretty much run the show. She and Dawn, her husband, have done a wonderful job.
And now we want to go around and everybody say who they are, and this will be recorded. So if you have any reason why you do not want to be on the video, would you please let me know by raising your hand right now so that we will make sure that that doesn't happen. Okay.
My name is Angela. I have been friends with Dave for about 11 years. I'm a professional actor. I'm in the business of buying houses and flipping houses, real estate, that also. That's one of the things that Dave and I have in common. And I have a huge heart to help others, and that's why I'm here. I feel like there's a reason why I came to this earth. It's not just for my own good, but I like to help. And I came here from Brazil, and my life has gotten much better, and I want to make sure that I can help others, give what I've been receiving. So I'm here to help with everything that's needed.
I'm Laurie, Howell, and I'm Harvard Square Church's meal program. And I've been here for about 23 years, and I came to this through my church. I was looking for some community service to take my children to, and I ended up 2 months later helping run the program, and I've been here ever since.
Hi, I'm John Gill. I'm just here.
I'm Judy Siemen. Like Laurie, I'm with the Thursday Night Harvard Square Meals program here at Christ Church. I've been here about 16, 17 years and came for similar reasons, not to bring my children, but to bring myself, to have some experience to give back to the community. My father was a minister, and that was part of his whole being, and I felt that it was important for me at that point in my life. So I've been here a number of years too, and now Laurie and I are both on the board of the Harvard Square Meals program.
Hello, I'm David Leslie. I'm the Executive Director of Food for Free, and one of the things we do is provide programs like this, meals programs, lots of food, especially produce, for the meals they create.
I'm Marta Sandler. I'm from On the Rise in Cambridge. I'm the Executive Director. On the Rise is a day program for homeless women that's been around since the mid-90s. I've been Executive Director there for 3 years and involved as a volunteer for another 10 plus years before that.
My name is Gerardo Moreno. I'm from CASPAR Incorporated, and we are one of the recipients of the funding I work in a access program. I'm a senior treatment coordinator clinician.
I'm Robert Ortiz. I am a real estate broker and manager of Cambridge Realty Group. I'm representing Cambridge Realty Group here tonight, as well as Tony Shelzy, who's one of the founding members of this organization. And that's my professional interest. In addition to that, I'm a poet and a lyricist, and sometimes I'm a joke teller. Sometimes.
John Perry, I'm Karen's husband, and I'm the owner of a bed and breakfast in Cambridge, and I'm one of the early founders of Cambridge Action Fund.
Well, thank you very much. What I'd like to do now is to hear from the different organizations that provide services to homeless people, to find out what you're doing now and what have been the biggest issues this past year that you've seen.
We've been funded for many years by you, but what we have been using our money probably the last 2 years for is we use it to hire people who are homeless or very low income, who've been coming to our program for a really long time, just as volunteers, no other reason. And we've sort of chosen these people who've been very committed to us, who have no money to pay them. We try to keep it under the tax laws, so we don't have to take out Social Security and anything for them, but I think it really helps. And I guess our issue this year is money, because I mean we're paying these people. I think we have enough money for that, but our food budget is getting really low compared to what way we would like to be.
Mm-hmm. And this is the Harvard Square Homeless
Harvard Square Church's meal program.
Harvard Square Church's meals program, right? And we're actually at that venue tonight.
Right.
I don't know how much more I need to add to what Laurie says, but when we serve our meal, as you all were able to partake of it tonight, we serve what we get. And David knows that there are times that we don't get lettuce, or because David Food for Free supplies us the meals program with all of the vegetables, the breads. You go to Iggy's and all of the supermarkets where they have whatever food surplus they have goes on the Food for Free truck, which then comes to us. And we are always appreciative of that. Without that, our meal is rather sparse. Our main course pretty much comes from the Boston Food Bank, which we pay for. But the rest of the supplemental pieces, the vegetables, the salad, the soups, the breads, sometimes the desserts, we get a lot of nice desserts from Trader Joe's. It comes from David. So it's a nice reciprocity that we have going on together.
And do you see changes in the clientele? I mean, the economy is getting worse and worse and worse. There are more, so many people are unemployed. It's very hard for people right now. Have you seen differences?
We've seen an increase in the number of people that we've served. In the 16 years I've been here, when I first came, we were serving maybe around 70 people, and now I know at our height, I think we were well over 140. Not every night, certainly, but we certainly seem to be over 100, 110, 120, depending on what time of the month it is also. Toward the end of the month, when people's SSI checks are pretty much gone, then we have an increase. And we're fortunate to have a large number of volunteers, which helps our program run somewhat smoothly. But still, the need is huge for people.
This is the beginning of the month, and you're really full out there tonight, so it's...
And we have good macaroni and cheese. Word on the street gets out. Well, Thursday night they're serving. That kind of thing. It does happen. But no, there's no question that we're still here after almost 40 years, 30 plus years.
29 years, I think.
But obviously, and the need is still there.
And David Leslie from Food for Free?
Well, several things. It's our 30th year. There were things happening in the very late 70s, early 80s of people recognizing, I think, that there's some very big needs that are out there, and I think the Reagan years and following, we've read lots of things since then of how there were some real changes in American society, starting at the upper levels of government, and what the safety nets were, how people were cared for, etc. So I think organizations like ours, Greater Boston Food Bank began the same year, you folks began around the same time, a lot of programs recognizing that there were a lot of people out there, even then 30 years ago, that were in need and the resources weren't really being provided. So I think one thing we found in the last couple of years talking to a lot of people, there are more middle-class families, working families, that are coming to both pantries and meal programs, that they're having to try to stretch their dollars. And there are a lot of things you can't only pay part of, such as your rent or your mortgage, your oil, heating bills, things like that, gasoline if you're commuting. Food is an area that you can sort of cut back on or make different choices on. There aren't necessarily healthy choices, etc. And so we're aware from other meal programs here as well, I can agree with that, seeing more middle-class, often family groups will show up in some of the different programs. Certainly the pantry use numbers are considerably up over the last couple of years, and there's no real end in sight. Even as the economy improves, if and when it does, and there's hope that it is, there's some signs, maybe the unemployment rate, the folks that are taking advantage of what's being provided by the different service providers in Cambridge and Somerville and Boston, they're going to be among the last to sort of the first to be hurt and the last to recover from that. And certainly a lot of the folks, not just that are struggling and that perhaps don't have a home but aren't too many steps from being homeless, but certainly people who are homeless are going to be the ones that are perhaps going to be last to be lifted, if at all. So our programs and our services are very there. One plus is we're seeing tremendous amount of support for what we're doing from some of the suppliers, from the farmers markets. This will be the second year in a row we will have gathered over 100,000 pounds of fresh produce and fresh, wholesome baked goods from farmers markets. A lot of those, get to come here. Some of the farms that we work with, we're getting a lot more than we would have a few years ago. And as well as some of the retailers, the bigger retailers. I think Whole Foods and Trader Joe's are aware socially somewhat. I think there's been some attention, even that's not always positive for them, around the whole sort of dumpster diving has gotten a lot more attention once again. And I think those stores and the people that work in them that's not really what they want to be occurring with the food that they can no longer sell. And so we're finding we'll go some days and get 500, 600, 800 pounds of food or whatever from a store, which is fabulous.
I was in Shaw's today, and I noticed they have this huge sign up, and they have big bags, food for free.
Food for free.
And it's nice, you can buy $5, $10, $15, $20
Yeah, all the supermarkets
denominations.
in the different communities are doing it for different
Different
shelters.
organizations, I just happened to notice it was
Yeah, no,
food for free. So
we
that
picked
was-
up today 2 pounds, 2,400 pounds of food from Shaw's.
That's wonderful. That's really
They said it had a retail value of about $1,300, and we'll be doing it again over the next few weeks before the holidays. So a lot of folks, a lot of retailers, a lot of wholesalers, etc., as well as other folks in the community that are related, businesses, institutions, and that have supported, recognizing what the needs are and how troubled society is right now, particularly dealing with the most vulnerable. So I should let Martha say a few words here.
Well, let's see. So On the Rise is a beneficiary of Food from Food for Free of Cambridge Action Fund. We also do a street outreach collaboration with CASPAR. So thanks everybody for your help. It's been a really challenging year. We've seen. I think that the thing that sort of made my eyes pop was over the summer and fall we saw about a 20% increase in the number of women who are coming to On the Rise compared to the previous year, and close to a 30% increase of new women we hadn't seen before. And so a couple of things going on with that. One is that we did start doing the street outreach collaboration with CASPAR about a little over a year ago, and it feels that that is paying some dividends in terms of actually starting to form relationships with women who are really not accessing any services whatsoever and out in the street. It's hard to know when we begin seeing more of them if that's because there are more of them or simply because we know more of them or some combination. But in any case, we have been seeing more of them. And in some cases seeing women that we already know while we're out doing outreach. And I think that also, you know, the women that we are working with are usually chronically homeless. They have multiple issues in the spectrum of things that, you know, poverty, homelessness, usually a history of trauma and abuse, often dating back to childhood, mental illness, addiction, domestic violence, you know, a wide array of issues. And people in those who have sort of grown up that way are very, very skeptical of social services and people who say, we're here to help you. And so it's actually pretty challenging to form a relationship with them, connect with them, and try to, and start helping them get the benefits that they're entitled to and help them address some of their more complex issues. That's why the street outreach, for example, is important. Just meeting someone who meets an outreach worker, then sort of knows the person who's on the other side of that closed door when they go to 341 Broadway and ring the doorbell, and that makes a big difference. Broader social issues, you know, that are feeding into these trends, the economy, of course. There's been a movement in Massachusetts going on for a few years called the Housing First movement, which the grand idea of that movement was that for chronically homeless people who are essentially living in shelters day after day after day, year after year, to acknowledge that that's not an emergency situation anymore, and in fact they're using capacity that could be better applied to people who are in an emergency situation, and to deal with a chronic issue by giving them housing and giving them supportive services to help them maintain that. So that's the grand idea. In 2011, there was some movement in the state that I think was kind of well-intended, but maybe sort of had the opposite result of what was intended, in that there was some restrictions placed on who would have access to emergency shelter. Again, the idea being that these people should just have housing, they should be in emergency shelter. But since there wasn't any housing, it actually resulted, I think, in more people just being unsheltered for one reason or another, or people feeling that there were more barriers and sort of bureaucracy and red tape in order to get emergency shelter, which is, you know, which may have been true. Occupy Boston has been kind of an interesting event in our world, in that it started out, I think, sort of the impression of it was these were underemployed graduate students with lots and lots of student loans, protesting the rich, basically. And I think it's evolved to be more, there are a lot of homeless people that we know now camping out in Dewey Square. And so it sort of shifted into this different demographic, if you will. And that's sort of interesting. And it's kind of interesting and, I don't know, maybe dispiriting to see the public losing interest because of that these aren't the protesters anymore. They're the homeless people we already knew about. So somehow they're not going to get they don't get the same attention. It's not breaking news anymore. It's old news. I think that, was it yesterday they lost their court order of protection, so there's this sense that we're sort of waiting for the,
Well, they were moving
12
out.
o'clock tonight,
Yeah.
midnight, they have to be out of it.
yeah.
People were moving out today, so.
So, let's see. I guess I've talked enough. Those are sort of the current events on my mind for these past few months anyway. Did I answer your questions?
Yes,
Karen?
I realized I really should have started with
Yeah.
people talking about what your basic program does, but
Yeah.
we can go back and do that. So you've alluded to it, all of you. But, yes, I think I learned a lot. Thank you very much.
Great.
Well, I'm coming from CASPAR, specifically from the Access program. The Access program is a transitional program who serves homeless people who are clean and sober, men and women, and who are coming from detox units, from maybe staying with a family, maybe coming from jail, being just released. And we provide a stabilization to the people instead of they becoming homeless because they're waiting for maybe a bed in a residential program or in a halfway house. So we try to, this program, try to keep them there for like 2 or 3 months. And we provide services. Now we are just starting to provide clinical services that we didn't have before. Because there is an amount of research that says that is pointing out that it's really important to tackle substance abuse, also mental health. There is a high rate of trauma history in homeless people and people who has substance abuse issues. So we are integrating that to our new program just like maybe 2 months ago. And we are starting to provide services like short-term therapy, trauma group therapy for men and women, life skills group, anger management groups, and besides case management to help them to, when they get to us, they start to see what's the next step and move them into the residential program or help house or any other facility. So basically we are doing that, but this past year, this year has been a challenge because there have been a lot of detox units that have been closing in this area. And I think, our population is increasing, day by day. And we are really looking for getting money to be able to have more beds, provide more services, expand the clinical program, and serve much better to this population instead of they become homeless again. But also at the same time, we try to increase the rate of, decrease the rate of relapsing, which is very important so they don't become homeless again. And increasing the rate of being clean for many, many years or months or something. So basically that's what we are trying to do, Access program.